Alive and alert on the north side of the dirt. It is your man D Real coming at you with another Be Real with D Real, where edutainment is what I do. Hello and welcome to another session of Be Real with D Real. Today, we're going to be covering episode 2 of The Last of Us. But before we get off into episode 2 of The Last of Us, I need y'all to do what y'all always do for me. Where's it going to be at? Where's it going to be at? Surprise! Back where it was. Comment, like, subscribe, and share the Be Real with D Real page. So that when new material comes out, you get it. If you're digging what a brother shoveling, put some dirt in my bucket. Comment, like, subscribe, and share the page. Y'all like my hoodie? Rick and Morty hoodie? Yeah. Late Christmas present. It's all good though. Rick and Morty's Rick and Morty. Some people don't like Rick and Morty. I happen to think it's eclectically weird and entertaining at certain times of the day. Anywho, we're gonna start out talking about a couple of things. I'm looking at notes and things I want to say first. But at the top of that episode, we are taken to Jakarta, Indonesia in 2003, 20 years ago. Officers come into this cafe and grab this woman. At first, we're thinking, oh my goodness, she must be infected, and they know she's infected, so they grabbing her. You know, they do all kind of crazy stuff over in Indonesia. But turns out she is none other than world-renowned mycologist Ibu Ratna. And Ibu Ratna is taken to a laboratory where she is told to examine this body. But before she's told to examine this body, she's told that this body has cordyceps living inside of it. And for those of you that don't know, the cordyceps are those little hairy-looking tentacle things that stick out of the infected's mouth before they go to infect somebody else. But being an expert in the field of mycology, she's like, cordyceps can't live inside of a human being. Oh, really? Says the Indonesian officer. Step in that room, put that suit on. If you feel sick, get up out of there, girl. And she's presented the body of this dead woman. And the man tells her to examine a bite mark on her leg. Come to find out, there are indeed signs of cordyceps infection in the body. She immediately goes to the mouth, where she goes in and digs out some of the cordyceps little tentacle thingies, and they're still moving around. And so she automatically drops it and goes back in the room, gets the heck up out of there. Long story short, they ask her what she thinks should happen. But before they ask her that, she asked them, how did this woman get infected? Or what happened? And she was at a flower factory. She came in, attacked her co-workers, bit some of her co-workers, and the police showed up and shot her because she had a bullet wound in the head. Now, the other 3 people are treated. They react the same way, have to kill them. The doctor asks the biggest and most important question of all. Who bit the lady? Who bit those 3? We don't know. And so she immediately freaks out like, oh my God, there is no hope. So she tells them, bomb Jakarta. Bomb it with everybody in it so that this infection does not get out into the world. 20 years later, we see that was a waste of time. So we are recapping the events of the previous episode where Joel, Tess, and Ellie are out in the zone, running around, ripping around, and they run into a soldier last episode. They're fighting this soldier. Joel beats this soldier up, takes his it's got a machine where they can measure people for fever or see if they're infected or something like that. And they put it on Ellie and it says she's infected. And they like, oh boy, all right. Because they've been around infected, and sometimes the infected may turn immediately. Other times it takes the infected a while to manifest and show signs or symptoms. So sometimes it could take a couple of months, 30 days, a month, and so they're watching her at gunpoint. She's eating her sandwich and she's doing her thing, but they like, we will shoot you immediately if you try some stuff. But the bottom line ends up, she has an immunity to the infection. And that's the whole reason they're trying to get her to this facility out west so that they can analyze her and find out why she doesn't turn, because she pulled her arm up. She's got a bite mark on her arm. And then I ain't gonna get to that yet, but she had a bite mark on her arm, but she's not infected and she's not showing signs of infection, but they're gonna watch her anyway. Anywho, though, they go to the museum in town, and they're at this hotel, and they're fumbling around in this hotel, trying to get out of the streets because there's tons of infected in the streets, and they're also looking for a route to get around all of this infected. But what we learn in this episode, and people already knew in the game, if there are cordyceps on the ground and you step on one, that's like sounding an alarm. It tells, because the infected as well as the cordyceps are all one network, like one huge cell. So if you step on one of these cordyceps, it alerts tons of the infected, and it lets them know right away exactly where you are, and they come straight for you. So that's a lot worse than a zombie apocalypse. You can't even walk around if there's cordyceps around. So there. Now, they go into this museum, and there's supposed to be these soldiers here waiting for them to help them, but all the soldiers are dead. Oh, what's going on? And then we find out that the infected, some of these infecteds, known as clickers, because of the clicking sound they make, and that's just disconcerting. They hunt not by sight, but by sound. So if you're still and not moving at all, you might get away. Bottom line, they start fighting. And they're fighting all of these infected that are hunting with sound and clicking and running around, and they're having their little adventures and doing what they need to do. And Joel and Ellie get separated from Tess. And so Tess is doing her thing, fighting on one side of the museum, and Joel and Ellie are fighting on another side of the museum for their lives, I might add, because once them infected zero in on you and just start going for the I want to put my tentacle things in your mouth. If I can't, I'm gonna bite you. And then they also come across a body that's just been ripped to shreds by infected, but they didn't know up until that point that the infected were capable of such savagery towards non-infected. So more stuff to be worried and concerned about. Fighting starts getting hot and heavy. Bottom line, when there's a break in the action, this right here gets revealed. Looky here, courtesy of CBR today, HBO changes the Last of Us details of a major character's fate. Well, we're looking at Tess, old black-eyed Tess. What is Tess's fate? Well, in the game, we know she lasts a little bit longer than 2 episodes. In the original game, I want y'all to see this. In the original game, Tess is hired alongside Joel to transport Ellie Williams to the Capitol building. Ellie, a young girl with a potentially life-saving immunity to the cordyceps brain infection that's ravaged the world, is an understandably important figure, and Joel and Tess have been tasked with keeping her safe. When the three make it to the Capitol building, though, they're met by soldiers who are out to kill them. Tess, revealing that she was already infected with CBI, sacrifices herself, distracting the soldiers and giving Joe and Ellie time to escape. The Last of Us show on HBO has been relatively faithful to the original game in its first 2 episodes. In keeping with the original plot, Tess once again faces her end in the Capitol building, but the circumstances are pretty different. This time around, it's not soldiers awaiting the crew, but infected. Tess, still aware that she's going down no matter what, blows up the building, taking the infected with her. So, no more Tess. She sacrificed, and the way she went out was just like, oh, if she was a man, she'd have balls of adamantium. She lets Joel and Ellie run out. She pours out all of this gasoline, throws out a bunch of grenades, and she's trying to light her lighter. She's constantly lighting it. And infected are running by. She's clicking her lighter, and one of them stops, and it notices her, and it comes towards her and gets this close, and the little tentacles come out, and they're in her mouth, and I'm just like, ah! But the whole time, she's still flicking at the lighter. Finally, it lights, drops it, and blows the place sky high. Now, if you gonna go out, don't go out like no sucker. Tess most definitely did not go out like no sucker. So, what did we learn today about The Last of Us HBO Max version? Clickers, infected, hunt by sound and not sight. Which in some cases seems like it's a lot more accurate, because they was like daredeviling on mugs. As soon as they hear a sound, they was on them. So, and then we learned some got big cauliflower heads. And the zombies, infected, whatever you want to call them, are not slow. You running, they running. You bend in corners, they bend in corners. You opening doors, they at the door waiting to get you. So, and this is just the infected. You know what I'm saying? We ain't got into, well, let me shut up. I'm not gonna spoil it for you. Want y'all to know. Look here. This show, I have my, I have my misgivings. I have my thoughts about it, and I was like, I don't know about this here. And I hear, a lot of people saying they ain't gonna like it because Joel is this, and we don't know if we want Pedro Pascal playing Joel, and the little girl who plays Ellie, she's funny looking, and so all in all, so far, 2 episodes in, I am not bored with it. I want to see what's going on. I am engaged. I'm in. You know what I mean? And I suggest y'all get into. The Last of Us is not a bad show so far. It premieres on Sunday nights on HBO Max. You can catch it there. Check it out. If it sucks, suspend your rigidness. That's what I do. If you want to see it go exactly like the video game, that would be cool too. But this is still not bad either. So D-Real recommends The Last of Us on HBO Max. That's it for now, y'all. I will be coming at y'all with another one of them other ones. And until I do, y'all be good. Be good to each other.